Guys, CroissantKing here, and today will be the start of a new series in which I'll be going on Pokemon Showdown and playing with random teams and show you my thought process to them. So let's get into the first game. Here, I click Stealth Rock just to set up entry hazards, but you see I press cancels because actually you should see their whole entire team in your moveset before deciding a move, even if that move is obvious, just to determine how you're going to play. So Force or Earth Power is Stab. It would be the best option against the Ghost type. So after not really much thing, and then here I survive 2 hits, and then so I get good enough damage, and since it's Ghost, I would predict another multi-attack for the kill, and I'd switch into the normal type to take that attack. And I looked before and it has a dark type attack, so even though if I have Scarf, I'm completely comfortable using knockoff here because it'll probably kill, and also knockoff's just a very strong utility move to get the item off, so it would be the best play here in my opinion. I don't professionally play Pokemon, but I consider myself. Switches into Urshifu, which is obvious, but even knockoff is still very strong here. It gets rid of the leftovers, so after I can just switch into, I believe it's my Nidoqueen here, because just to safely sacrifice it and then bring in my Aerodactyl, which is faster than the Urshifu, and I can dual Wing Beat to take it out because Urshifu has very low defenses and Aerodactyl is just a strong physical attacker. Even though I'm risking the 10% miss here, it's probably the safest play because I would probably survive another attack from Urshifu and I would be able to get the second attack off, which would be very low chance of actually missing both. And we get a timeout, another win. We're 2-0. And he resets on less than 5 seconds, but doesn't really matter since this is going to be a win. Send out the Mewtwo just because I feel, even though I would probably should have used Liquidation there, it would have been safer. And here I just made a bad play because who would switch in a fighting type on a psychic type? So misplay, go for recover, and get punished by the knockoff. Bring in Whimsicott because it has quad resist, and just go for the super effective Moonblast. Poltergeist comes out, takes the damage, and since Poltergeist I know is a very common Shell Smash White Herb user, I use Taunt, so I can't use Shell Smash as you can see here. And then since Moonblast is my only real attacking move, I switch into Kartana, and they switch back into the Sock, so this situation, I don't feel really safe having my Kartana out here, so I switch back to the Whimsicott to take a probably fighting type move, and there has the close combat. I know they're probably going to switch, maybe, or they Dynamax, I just get the paralysis, and luckily it hits, and I get the para first turn, and we get a forfeit. Unlucky for my opponent, but that's they disconnect. I'm not sure why it's been not even turn 1, but sometimes you just have to take it when, even if you have a fun team to play with, which this looked like to be an interesting team, you just have to take the win whenever you can, because in the end, when you're trying to get better, you have to gain that rating to play against better players and learn more. And in this third game, I know Rotom's faster, so I get Volt Switch, crit there. I didn't really care about the crit. Meteor Mash luckily miss, and I go for the Fire Blast here, which is risky since it's only 85% accurate. And you know the saying, if it's not 100% accurate, it's 50% accurate. So took a big risk here, and luckily it send out Golduck. They're probably going for a Psychic type attack here. So what I do is switch. I would switch in here to the Bisharp or the Rotom because, or I do that. Should have switched earlier, but now that I know Side Shock doesn't affect it, so I feel safe to go for the Sucker Punch here because I Focus Blast miss, which would have killed there. So I'm not taking the risk and going for the Swords Dance. I'm just going to go Sucker Punch again and take out the Golduck. If he doesn't Calm Mind here, I'm pretty sure there's at least an instance where Sucker Punch fail Calm Mind, but might not be this turn. Yep, there it is. So here I just predict. I would predict the Calm Mind because Showdown players get too greedy, and I will go into the Rotom, and since I'm faster and I have Volt Switch, I just go for the Volt Switch, go back right, and go right back into the Bisharp and be right where we left off. But with a Sleep Powder hits, unfortunate, and since we are playing random, Sleep Clause activates, so I switch in Tornadus, they Quiver Dance, and I should have just attacked, but I decided to go for the Nasty Plot. I'm not sure still to when I'm recording this which move would have been better because I'm anticipating another Quiver Dance so that the special defense would eventually cancel out. I know. And then there's the Hurricane. Unfortunately, get the confused, and I'm left with a very, very low health. So go for the Heat Wave Quiver Dance again. Very greedy. Heat Wave connects. Since they know now that Heat Wave will kill. That was stupid. I should have switched into the Bisharp to take the not very effective Hurricane since Tornadus would probably die there. But here I just get to switch into Rotom, survive the max overgrowth because Rotom's strong. For some reason that Thunderbolt didn't kill, but that might be just the +2 special defense there. A little too strong. Sacrifice the Weezing. And that Weezing sacrifice piece, I knew it was going to be probably useless later. I would just burn the Dynamax turn space. We are playing with Gen 8 mechanics, so making Dynamax turns as useless as possible for your opponent is critical if you're playing with Dynamax rules. Hiroshima doesn't kill, good. Which would have been lucky. I'm pretty sure it's a range, so lucky you just get that wild charge in and get the Butterfree out. And remember, even though it's even, we technically are losing, but we still have that late game Dynamax, which can be massive. So here we can see that we're taking a risk to see if our Rotom's faster. It's not faster, so we know that the Den has a huge amount of speed. So I take the risk, try to go for the Dynamax while I'm asleep. I consider switching to Buzzwole, but in the end, I just go for the Dynamax. I'm very lucky here. I get the Wake Up, get the Steel Spike out, and I crit. The crit definitely mattered there, so that was huge. Lugia comes out. So know now that we predict the Umbreon switch, so now we know that they have an Umbreon, so I just go for the Steel Spike, which actually, I'm looking back, I might have predicted the switch, but they just protect instead. That's smart. My Dynamax turns are now over. Here I decides to Swords Dance to try to predict the Umbreon either switch. Here I go for the Iron Head, which in hindsight isn't very smart, since I should have knocked off the leftovers and then went for the Iron Head to get some more damage in and prevent the leftovers from doing their job. Umbreon goes down, but Lugia is still there. So at this point, I'm hoping for Sucker Punch to, since Lugia is faster, I'm hoping for Sucker Punch to kill, but it doesn't. And since Buzzwole is 4 times weak to flying, I lose this matchup. But they instead try to Roost, so go for Darkest Lariat. Does a good amount of damage, but in the end, in this position, I will take my first loss of the video. Which you have to remember, losses aren't essentially the worst thing to happen. Rather, they're just an opportunity to learn from your mistakes. Here, get into the game. Genesect, Heat more, and since I'm anticipating, since Genesect's 4 times weak to fire, I'm anticipating a switch, so I just go for the safe substitute. And there's the U-turn coming out. It's a good bit of damage. That's probably the correct play. If they have U-turn, we see the Roam Heat come out, and I just go for the substitute. Anticipating either Fire Lash or Drain. And I probably end up here going for, I should go for Sucker Punch. Interesting. Yeah, here you see me just contemplating between. I go for the Fire Lash. Overheat, big misplay by opponent. They give me Flash Fire. And my attacks just do so much more damage. And there's the Volt Switch. Smart, because they want to get rid of the substitute and their -1 defense here. They probably do not know I have a grass move, say go into the ground type. Let's go for the Drain. Unfortunately, does not kill, but we do hang on. So, go into the Uniclus. Gets a little health back, but here I'm either between Sucker Punch or Fire Lash, because Sucker Punch is effective. I do go for the Fire Lash and get to the defense drop, forcing them to either switch or just die in the next turn. Because Reuniclus is very slow, so here you see Crocodile, very good because Moxie Choice Scarf, so it will be incredibly fast. And here you see me taking the knockoff option again, because it's just very strong move and good versatility to get items off all your opponent's Pokemon, which will be useful in the end game. Makes a huge difference. There comes the Tangrowth. Here, because you get out of Choice Scarf by Dynamaxing, I contemplate just getting out of Dynamax and taking a good Dynamax move, but unfortunately here I have no good moves in that sense. But I do instead, after the Leech Seed, to contemplate the Dynamax. I do go for going for Max Knuckle, getting that attack boost. Drain unfortunately takes a lot of my damage, so I'm forced to be able to do Max Darkness instead of getting another attack boost, because even though would have died, that the first one was a crit, so, and then Tangrowth hangs on. My Dynamax ends, and here I decide to set up spikes because I really want that extra damage while they're coming in the field. Knockoff, I don't really care about that because Roserade isn't a very good offensive weapon. It's just more of support bulk here. I set up my 2-3 layers of spikes, toxic spikes, which is an oversight because a lot of these Pokemon, for example, Rotom Heat has Levitate, so it will just be completely unaffected. Here, go for the Sludge Bomb to get the Tangrowth. And then here I realize, oh, does levitate? I'll do absolutely nothing. I am faster. Get the crit. Take out the Rodon, which is huge. Crit definitely mattered because Rose Raid, as I said, isn't a very good offensive weapon. And then here I realize where I messed up, since Delibird is unfortunately flying type. So I do go for the Hippowdon because I'm hoping that Freeze Dry doesn't kill, and I do get Stone Edge, but I unfortunately go for Stealth Rocks, and even though if I did go for Stone Edge, I do get frozen, so very unfortunate luck. Switching the double, and the Delibird starts setting up spikes. So in retaliation, I just go for the Dynamax here, Max Hailstorm. We do hang on, get the damage, and unfortunately we will die next turn. Just trying to sacrifice for the Rillaboom, but this is a very bad position to be in if you're playing from my angle. 3 versus 1 Rillaboom, even though it does good against Sandaconda, it really struggles against Genesect and Delibird. Here I do go for the greedy Swords Dance. That was a misplay. I should have went for the knockoff. You see, Freeze Dry goes for a significant amount of damage. Now, since Grassy Terrain, I'm hoping Grassy Glide kills the Delibird here, but it doesn't. Or it does, but hail damage still takes me out. And that's going to be it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you next time. Peace.